Well, Mikel, I feel like we're getting used to this, right? This almost feels like it's a bit of a therapy session. But we're at the halfway stage now of the Champions League group. So now you've seen everybody. So now what do you think in terms of reflection of looking at the first three fixtures, but now you go into game week 4?
Well, the level is really high. That is really tough to win games in this competition. That we are in a good position, and when you have the chance to take another bigger steps in this competition, you have to make it count. And we have a beautiful opportunity tomorrow in front of our people to do it against a big European team.
We talk about the history because we spoke pre the game week 3, which is it would have been experience and touching experience for your players and understanding what it's like to play in that atmosphere. Now you take the reverse and now you use your home fans. How do you tactically approach it differently?
Well, I think emotionally it's a different game for them. It was the first experience in Sevilla. I played there and I knew what it was coming. And we have to prepare them a lot for the kind of game and the under layers of that game as well. And they did it really well. And now at home, it will require different energy from us and different proposal as well. And this is what we're going to do today.
When you think about last time I spoke to you, I spoke about the experience in that squad in terms of the Sevilla squad. They would have had so many players who understand what these European nights are about, have won the competition. Do you think that maybe the naivety or maybe the lack of experience that Arsenal players do have in this squad, just because of their youth, will give them that freshness, that exuberance, that vibrance to turn around and want to perform in every single one of these game weeks?
Yes, sometimes the main factor normally is that it doesn't caught you by surprise. So it's something new and it shocks the system and you don't really know how to act. So we have to prepare them really well for that. And then you need to play it with courage to go there and be yourself and stand for the occasion and embrace it and enjoy playing in these kind of games. And I think the players did that really well.
How do you kind of get them ready mentally? Because you know an aspect and qualification would have been the ultimate goal within this group. That is achievable, obviously, depending on other results. Is it a focus on yourself? Is it a focus on the actual goal itself in terms of saying that you can actually qualify if you do and the results do go your way in this next game?
I fully focus on what we have to do to win the game and to earn the right and play the game that we want to play against and this team and be very disciplined there and then being really brave and courageous to make it happen.
I want to know technically what your messages are in terms of to the teams and how you make them adapt for these European nights. PSV would have been a wonderful start, but you've had 2 away games. Now you have more favourable home games with the remaining fixtures. How do you turn around and get the boys tactically ready for another European night?
Well, giving the right information and loading them with very clear instructions on what to expect and how to adapt to certain scenarios that they're going to make us go through. But then as well, don't forget, you fight for 10, 11 months in this tough league to earn the right to play in this competition. Enjoyment has to be there at all times, and you're going to have moments where they are really good to enjoy, sometimes that you have to suffer. Enjoy suffering in those moments because they are worth it.
I like how you say enjoy suffering. So what do you turn around and think about your squad now? Tactically, do you approach it differently because it's a European night? I know there would have been the Tuesday, Saturday aspect. We always talk about the utilisation of the whole squad. What do you kind of think about going into it and how different your squad has to be for this one?
The European games are normally different. The pace is different. The control, the amount of passes that opponents put together compared to the Premier League becomes really different. The way the game is managed, it's very different as well. And obviously certain results are good in certain moments for teams. And that's tricky because game state can change a lot of things in teams' approach and you have to play those games.
I think what's been such an encouraging aspect of especially during your tenure as watching Arsenal Football Club is the response they've always had to any sort of defeat. During your years from your first year to now, the response of your squad has always been fantastic off of the back of a defeat. Are you expecting the same again?
I always expect that because the defeats and the losses on when you underperform, it has to have something implicit that has to help you improve and be better. And in order to do that, you have to be critical and you have to be clear on what you want and expect better from each other. And this is what we have to do. We lost in a way that is not because we didn't perform well, that's for sure. So I'm going to encourage them to do a lot of what we did against Newcastle. A lot of it, because we were much better than last year when we beat them 2-0. But there are certain things to win it, and we win it with more margin that we have to do better, and the focus is going to be there.
I want to talk about one individual, maybe because we are going to speak to him today, and that's Tommy Yasu. I'm seeing the connection that he's having with the fans. I mean, he seemed like an incredibly humble, I don't want to call him a young man because he's well into his 20s. But what's most impressive is his versatility, his ability that you trust him in so many different positions. What do you see in Tommy's game why you could just trust him like that?
Well, first of all, I think we all feel in the same way. And he doesn't talk much, he doesn't say much.
Don't tell me that. I've got to speak to him later.
But you have to love him. You have to love him. And you will love him. He will be saying to you, he will be smiling, he will be looking at you, he will really be present here. And that's one of Tommy's qualities. He's always present, he's always there. He always wants to get the best out of him, whatever you do. He's so disciplined and he loves football. You know, he loves what he does. He feels so privileged to be here, and he's just willing to help. And we have a member of the squad with that attitude. It's just a blessing.
You make me smile when you think about those leaders. Because sometimes leadership isn't always the most vocal. It isn't always the person that wants to scream the loudest. Martin has his own style of leadership. But when you have so many different characters, in terms of looking at Jorginho, speaking to him in game week 3, and looking at Saliba and how vocal he's been in the warm-ups. Declan Rice is another one that enjoys these moments. You've had a taste of what Champions League at home feels like, but what is the second game at home? What are you expecting from those leaders?
Well, and another step that we already had 3 games to experience what they are. We know the teams, they know us, so that the challenge is a little bit different. And now be ruthless. In the Champions League, you have to be absolutely ruthless when you have the opportunities to put them away and make the team suffer. We are at home. We've been waiting for a long time, so many years, to play those kind of games. You know, that desire, that hunger has to be seen immediately from the first minute on that field. What
does a ruthless Arsenal look like for you? You keep talking about this word ruthless, and I've heard you mention it a few times. I'm enjoying, because you seem to be enjoying the words and changing maybe the connotation around it. But what does ruthless Arsenal look like for you?
It's just about your determination to make things happen. And if it doesn't happen now, it's the next one and the next one. And you don't stop it. And you suffocate the opponent, and you go and you go and you go. And it doesn't matter. You know, football is a game of errors. It's about the next action. And my willingness and courage to put the next action in the place that it should be at this level. And this is what we demand each other.
I always like speaking to managers around this stage, because has your team impressed you with how well they've taken to the Champions League? Have they impressed you with... It's natural the experience we spoke about going into game week 1. But now you're at the halfway stage and you would have collected the points you have. Has your team impressed you at all?
Yeah, we always expect the best from our team. You know, when we are preparing the game, is I want to see the best version of my team. So you're always expecting the best. And we had some really good moments in this competition so far, and some learnings as well. So hopefully we will get better and better.
I want to know from your approach, what did you learn about Sevilla in game week 3 that you're going to take into game week 4 now? Because it might be a different approach tactically.
Yeah.
We know the manager was experimenting and probably still adapting and getting used to his team. He would have had a few more games with his new squad now. What are you expecting from that team?
We didn't have too much information, as you said, because they only had again against Real Madrid before we played them. But obviously, the game that you have to play, regardless the moment in Seville, you know, the ingredients that it's going to have. And those ingredients were very different the first 60 minutes to the last 30 as well, because game state changed a lot of their approach and the way they move the ball forward and the amount of players that they put in there. And we have to adapt to that. But I prefer much more the first 60, 70 minutes that we played down there.
I actually am going to leave this last question as a message for you, because we both were there to experience game week 1 and how special it was just as an atmosphere. I remember seeing genuine tears in the eyes of some Arsenal fans going into what was the return to the Champions League. Now you get an opportunity to experience them again. What kind of message do you want to set for the tone that's going to be in the Emirates from the minute 1?
That is electric. That passion, and when we talk about tears, that's an emotion. Put that emotion into that stadium, make your contribution, because the team is going to appreciate it and the team is going to be much better. We play with that kind of layers in our way of playing.
Well, Mikel, you know we're going to be on this therapy session till the end. Appreciate it as always, man.
Thank you.